What's up, y'all? It's your girl Courtney back with season 2, episode 6, and you know I got my co-host.
Hey world, it's your boy, your girl Sean, whatever y'all want to call me on the internet. Hey girl, hey.
Hey.
How y'all doing? Hey y'all, it's me Sean. Hey girl, hey. I hope y'all doing well today. But on a serious note, I'm here to let you guys know about this election season that's coming up. I need each and every one of y'all to go out and cast y'all votes, okay? Voting is very important. Even back in the day, we had our parents say, our grandparents say, even we had the thought that our vote do not matter, our vote do not count, none of that stuff. But it actually do. So please go out and cast your vote. The reasons that you should vote is for community building, healthcare protection for your loved ones, including yourself, a better school system for your kids, your godkids, your nieces, your nephews, your cousins. You know, the kids are really our future. You know what I'm saying? Better pay, better jobs, equal pay. Who don't want no more money? I do. So go out and vote. And last but not least, please go out and vote to have your voice heard. We can't be opinionated about some things and a change that we haven't implemented our voice in to try to make a difference, to try to create that change and make a change. So please go out and vote, because your vote do count and your vote do matters. You know, never be afraid to rock the vote.
And we have a very special guest, guys. I can't wait to get into this interview. Introduce yourself.
Well, good afternoon or good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're tuning in from. My name is Rodney D. Pierce, and I am a candidate for North Carolina House District 27, looking to represent Halifax, Northampton, and Warren counties in the North Carolina General Assembly, which is our state legislature based in Raleigh.
Yeah. Face the fact, about to keep it P real quick.
Right, representing 252.
That's right, all day, all day.
So I see you got for your platform, you're going to start with you would like to support for public schools.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, what's some things you would like for the change?
Well, in public schools, what the first and foremost thing I'd like to see is more funding. I don't know how familiar you all are with the Leandro court case. That's a court case that started in 1994. It was actually filed right here in Halifax County, in the Superior Court. And it was 5 low-wealth counties: Halifax, Cumberland, Vance, Robeson, and Hoke. Those 5 counties were taxing their residents at an above-average rate to try to make up for the shortfall in state funding, so that they could properly educate their students. And those 5 school districts, Halifax County Schools being one of them, sued the state. The case is called Leandro v. State, and the case has been basically not resolved for 30 years, and it's about to go right back before the state Supreme Court next month. So the case was about school funding initially, but now it's become more of a civil rights issue, because North Carolina is the only state in the country where our Declaration of Rights and our state constitution says that we have the right to a free system of public schools or free public education. So when it comes to funding, that's obviously an issue if we still have this case that's been going on for 3 decades, but teacher salaries need to increase. People need to be paid a living wage if they're cafeteria workers, custodians, bus drivers. Administrators and other support personnel need to be properly compensated. We need to make sure that we have the professionally recommended number of nurses, school psychologists, counselors, especially in light of COVID with the mental health issues that students are having, as well as teachers. So the public school system needs to be properly funded. We need to increase our per pupil funding. We're one of the lowest in the country when it comes to that. We need to increase the amount of wealth that we spend on education. We only spend 2.3% of our wealth as a state in North Carolina on our public education system, and that's last in the country. So a lot of things need to change with our public education system, but foremost, I believe, is properly funding our public schools.
Very well
There you
said.
go. Because I wonder, like, with the North Carolina lottery, they're supposed to be contributing to the education part of it. Do they actually contribute to the education part?
But you have a large portion of that goes towards your more urban counties, your Wakes, your Mecklenburgs, because they're bigger, they have more students. But where does the money really need to go? Right. It needs to come to your rural tier 1 counties, like Halifax, like Northampton, and like Warren.
Yeah, so we can get some textbooks to improve these test scores.
That's correct. That's correct. That's correct. That's correct.
Yeah, because statistically, it says that the lower test scores is Northampton County and all the rural
That's correct.
counties and stuff like that. So,
Well, you know, we've been on I like to call our part of the state, Sean, neglected Northeastern North Carolina. Not just Northeastern North Carolina, but neglected Northeastern. As a social studies teacher, I'm also a historian, and I love studying the Black history of our region of the state. And if you study that history, you'll see we have always been in this constant struggle since the days of chattel slavery to be recognized for our human dignity and for our human rights, education, housing, healthcare. It's always been a fight. It's always been a struggle. Voting rights, what we were talking about earlier. Yeah. It's always been a struggle in this part of the state. And so to see our public education system in the situation that it's in today in this part of the state is not a surprise when you consider the history. Right. But I think that's why it's so important to have authentic representation in the State House of Representatives to make sure that you have someone who knows that history, who's aware of it, who's in it every day as a school teacher, and who will fight to make sure that, you know, we get our fair piece of the pie.
My name is Tion Clemens. I'm here to let you know that your vote counts. It's not just about getting a sticker. It's about going out there, making sure you put the right people in the right positions. It's definitely important for us to vote on the local level because these are the people that can help us directly. We have a direct impact from the people that we put in the seats. So like I said, it's very important to vote. Make sure your voice is heard. So I need for everybody to do me a favor and have that Kobe mentality, that mama mentality, and get out there and vote. Thank you.
So speaking that you're a school teacher, would you like to share what school you teach at?
Yes. Shout out to Gaston STEM Leadership Academy, Northampton County Schools.
252.
Yeah, Mr. McCall, Miss Walton, and all of my colleagues and co-workers. It's a challenge. It's a challenge. I teach middle schoolers, so, you know, they think they're grown, but they still want to be kids.
Yeah, I'm about to say, I know that's rough.
And I teach all 3 grade levels, 6th, 7th, and 8th in the middle school.
Different blocks, different.
Right, of course, right. Matter of fact, we start our next semester. We start the spring semester tomorrow. So I get a new bunch of 6th and 7th graders, but I keep the same bunch of 8th graders. And, you know, it's a challenge because some of our kids come from very disadvantaged backgrounds and households, and you have to love all of them.
Yeah.
You know, you have to love all of them, even the ones who make you not want to love them, make you want to, you know.
They can't help.
But
Put
that's
your
part of
hands on
being
them or
teaching.
something like that.
It's leadership. So teaching, I say it starts at the home anyway.
It does. It does, definitely.
And teachers only enhance the learning that comes from home. So, you know, I'm not a teacher, but I wish I was a teacher because I like kids. I love kids.
Right.
And, you know.
But you can always come to the profession, brother.
I know, I need a degree. Kayla keep trying to get me to go back to school.
I was a 2-time college dropout, Sean. I dropped out of A&T, dropped out of HCC, and it wasn't until my ex-wife and I had our first son that it kind of clicked. I was 28, went back to school at the community college, transferred from there after I finished, got my 4-year degree from North Carolina Wesleyan. So it can be done, brother.
If I become a teacher, they're going to think I'm the student.
That's true. I mean, I've had colleagues where that's happened with me, you know. But it's rewarding because, you know, not always initially, but, you know, it's nothing for you to see a student that you've taught years later and they come to you and they tell you thank you.
Thank you.
Because I've had some young men and some young ladies who have been very challenging. And, you know, you want to treat all your kids the same, but you can't because they come from different backgrounds. They have different personalities. And some of them are going to be defiant. Some of them will be more receptive to you. And so you have to learn how to navigate all of that.
Right.
And we wear a lot of different hats. We wear the hat of nurse, psychologist, counselor, teacher, you know, all of that. And that's why we need to be fairly compensated for our services.
Well, speaking of education, where did you get your education from growing up?
I am a graduate, proud alumnus of Halifax County Schools, graduated from Northwest Halifax. All 3 of my children attend Halifax County Schools. I have 2 at the early college, 1 at Reading Springs. Initially went off to North Carolina A&T, did not finish there. But sometimes the Aggies tell me I'm still an Aggie. I don't think so because I'm like, well, I didn't get my degree from there. And they're like, that don't matter. It's still Aggie pride. It's still Aggie pride. Dropped out of A&T, came back home, stayed out of school for about a year, then went to the community college in Weldon, HCC. Dropped out of there after about a year because I just did not have my head together. And met my ex-wife. We had our first child. Now life is really smacking me in the face because it's like, what are you going to do? You're 28 years old. You have this woman you want to eventually marry. You have this son, and you want to be able to provide for them, but you don't even have a 2-year degree. All you got is your diploma and a couple years of college. And so, you know, Right. And so I went back to the community college. I finished there, got my associates in paralegal technology. Then I went to the adult degree program at North Carolina Wesleyan, which is basically the night school program, for a couple of years. Got my bachelor's in criminal justice. Wanted to be a paralegal initially, and after a few years of just working jobs here and there, was approached by a young lady who was an administrator in Halifax County Schools. She said, "Baby, you ever thought about becoming a teacher?" I said, "I don't want to hurt nobody's child." I seen how kids act. I ain't trying to do that. And she was like, No, it ain't like that. I said, "Well, I don't have a degree in education." And she said, "Well, you don't need a degree in education. You can be a lateral entry teacher. You have your 4-year degree?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." Went out to William R. Davies, spoke with Victor Fenner, Mr. Fenner. Shout out to Mr. Fenner, the principal who hired me for my first teaching
For your
job.
first teaching job?
I started at Davie. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's woo. Yeah, that's the school I attended. So I had that working for me because some of the kids I taught, I knew their families.
Okay.
But started teaching in 2015, and I've been a classroom teacher going on about a decade now.
Okay. That's good. Also on your platform, I see you say you're fighting for the working class,
That's correct.
affordable health care, housing.
That's correct.
And economic development.
Equitable economic development. Yes,
Equitable
sir.
economic.
Yes, sir.
Y'all know I get tongue tied. It's okay. So let's
Yes,
speak
sir.
on those issues that we see, especially with the affordable health care and housing. Yeah.
Well,
Hold on, because
Go ahead.
honestly, I'm tired of paying $700 rent.
I got you. I got you.
And it seems like it rises and raises
Right.
every year.
Right.
So how can we?
Well, your lawmakers do play a role in that. The one thing I will say in terms of home ownership is that, I don't know if you've seen it in the news, but they're talking about raising homeowners insurance.
My friend is a realtor, and she
Yes,
has
sir.
her own firm, and I seen her post that.
Right.
Now her property taxes went up, and all this stuff went up,
Right.
out of the blue.
Right. The North Carolina Rate Bureau wants to raise homeowners insurance an average of 42% around our state. That would equate to an average increase in Halifax and Northampton County of 40%, and an average increase in Warren County of 39%. And I'm very concerned about that. And that's why I made it part of my platform, because over one third of all of the homeowners in each of those counties is cost burden. I can't remember what the statistics are for renters, but when you're cost burden, that means you spend at least 30% of your income on housing.
Right.
If you're severely cost burdened, you spend at least 50%, I believe, of your income on housing. Again, I don't know what the statistics are for renters. I'm sorry, Sean. But, I think everybody's dream, as will be your dream, is to own a home.
Yeah.
And if you're jacking up home insurance rates like that, then it's going to be unaffordable. And I want to make housing affordable. So what I would do is I would work with the North Carolina Housing Coalition. I would try to make sure that the Housing Trust Fund gets increased. I would try to work towards, a recurring stream of funding going towards the workforce housing loan program, which is something that works with people who are working adults, I believe, to get them loans for home ownership. And I would actually advocate for there to be, if there's not already, and I think the North Carolina Housing Finance Agency does this, but I would want something like a state Department of Housing and Urban Development, like you have on the federal level, to concentrate on that, to help people who are renters become homeowners and things of that nature. So that would be my approach in terms of addressing what you're talking about. And I will also say that my opponent in this race, my Democratic primary opponent, who's our current state legislator for this area, voted with Republicans to raise homeowners insurance. There was a bill called the Regulatory Reform Act, and what that bill did was it pushed back updating the state's building code, what we use to build our buildings, until 2031. And what that's going to do is, because your building code is not going to be modernized and updated, now homeowners or people who want to buy homes are going to be paying more for homeowners insurance. You're going to be paying more for energy efficiency. You might not get FEMA money in the wake of a natural disaster. And your homes are not going to be built up to the level they could be built up to withstand storms and floods. And unfortunately, here in Eastern North Carolina, it's only a matter of time before we get like a big storm. I mean, we had a bunch of rain a few weeks ago. We got the remnants of a storm. So Those are the things I'm concerned about when it comes to housing. And because of his actions in terms of his voting record, I don't think that he's an authentic representation of this area and is the representative that our district needs.
So y'all about to vote Rodney
Yes.
Pierce,
Yes.
okay?
Yes.
Well, speaking of
Rodney
voting,
Pierce.
we put little clips in here of people saying why it's important to vote.
Yes.
So, of course, we have to get your opinion on it.
Why is it important to vote? Is because your vote counts. Your vote counts. I ran for school board, Halifax County Schools Board of Education, a couple of years ago. There were 7 candidates. There were 3 seats available. I came in 4th. Election night, I lost by 33 votes. And then I asked for a recount. And the total margin of victory for my opponent, who came in 3rd, was now 35 votes. So it increased from 33 to 35 votes. So don't think that your vote does not count.
Right.
There's a young lady in Northampton County who lost her commissioner race, I believe in 2022, by 6 votes. 6 votes.
Oh, wow.
She was 6 votes from being reelected. So please, ladies and gentlemen, don't think that your vote does not count. And exercise your power. Exercise your power, your voice, to choose the representation that you want. You know, some people say if you don't vote, keep your mouth shut, don't say anything. I don't necessarily believe that per se. I think if you pay taxes, you do have a right to say something, but that is what we have. We have a democracy. We have a republic. And part of that is people like us, the citizens, electing representatives who will share power in our government. And if you don't take an interest in politics, you better believe me, politics will take an interest in you.
Well, in the video that I made, that's going to be incorporated in this video, I did say if you don't vote, you don't open your mouth.
You said it, not me.
I mean, you can't have an opinion about anything if you don't use your voice to be heard.
Yes, sir.
So don't sit back and be frustrated and mad and, just antagonize people and stuff like, oh, this and that, and you didn't go out and vote. Like,
don't just stop there. When there are people in office that basically are stewards of our tax money, you have every right to question their decisions. You have the right to email them, to contact them. They have contact information that is public knowledge that you can use.
Absolutely.
You have the right to question them. You have a right to go to these city council
meetings
and these county commissioner meetings, sit in there, sign up for public comment, make your voice known, make your issues known.
I ain't know nothing.
And it's never. And one of the things I try to teach my students is it's never too late to get involved. I mean, too early to get involved. You can get involved as a young person. I look at the young man who relocated from this area, but Elijah Lee. Elijah, had a classmate at KIP who was being abused. And so Elijah started a child abuse awareness march up here at the park every year. And all the dignitaries would come out because it's good to be seen, but he was raising awareness. And I expect to see Mr. Lee in politics one day because, because he was what? I think when he first started doing, he was 10.
Yeah, and actually, they're supposed to do like a safety room or something at the hospital for him, incorporated that. I don't know if that ever took place or not.
He was on he was on Disney Plus on this.
He was on a talk show. Right,
he was on something with Marvel as well. That was on Disney Plus. I can't remember the name of the program, but you don't have to necessarily vote to raise awareness to an issue that's near and dear to you. You don't have to. And I try to teach my students, you need to know who represents you. You need to know who your school board members are. You need to know who your city councilmen are, your county commissioners, your state legislators, your congressman or congresswoman, as well as the president, the governor as well. Sometimes they know who's the president. There's Joe Biden, who's the governor. I don't know.
Right.
I'm saying, well, I think your governor may have a lot more to do with your day-to-day life than your president does. And then your state legislators, your county commissioners.
So that's why it's good to put the right people in the right place at the local level.
Thank you. We have to be more engaged in a civic manner.
Yeah.
If we want to, have a hand in determining our own destiny.
Why does it feel like the president get more attention than the government?
Because he's the president. Because he's the president. He is the chief executive officer of the federal government, pretty much. He's the commander in chief. And, growing up, that's what we're taught. And then, when you think about the presidential election years, more people come out to vote.
Yeah.
I think as a society, we've been groomed in a culture where we we look at the president as this person who's supposed to solve all our problems.
You're right.
And we don't think about the elected officials who are in our own communities who have more to do with our daily lives.
So what you think about this upcoming election?
What do I think about it in terms of what?
Presidency race. Donald Trump,
President
Joe Biden, Haley. What's her name? Haley or somebody?
I don't think she'll win.
Yeah.
President Trump, former President Trump, seems to be a lock-in. I will say this. I understand that our community, in terms of black people, we have our issues with Joe Biden. And I understand we have our issues with the Republican Party and President Trump. And I would say educate yourself on the policy positions of both candidates and vote for who you feel is the best representative for yourself, your family, and your community.
Right.
Now, there are some people who don't vote for presidents. They skip that part of the ballot and they go down. Mm-hmm. If that's what a person chooses to do, I'm not here to judge, but I would say this. This is something that I've actually thought about in the past few weeks. Presidents appoint federal judges. Federal judges don't get elected. They get appointed by the president and they get confirmed by the U.S. Senate. Federal judges are the ones who look at some of those court cases that have come out of North Carolina over the past few years that concern voting rights. So the president is who gets to appoint these judges, and then the Senate, who we also vote on, gets to confirm these judges. Presidents appoint United States Supreme Court justices like a Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Ketanji Brown
You know
Jackson.
what I mean? Okay. You know, President Trump in his term, he was only in there for 4 years, but he got to appoint 3 Supreme Court justices. There are only 9 justices on the court. Right. He got to appoint a third of the court. So when his case comes before the U.S. Supreme Court about whether or not he's eligible to be on the ballot in Colorado, I don't know if we should be surprised or not if they find in his favor because
he appointed them.
He appointed a third of the court, you know. But, you know, that's important to keep in mind because, you know, I think sometimes we only think about certain things the president does. You know, a lot of heat is coming down on President Biden because of the border situation and because of the conflict in the Middle East. And that's correct because we are supposed to be the leader of the free world in terms of being the United States. But, you know, you also have to look at what happens domestically in terms of that border situation and also when it comes to our judiciary.
Right.
Well, I kind of agree when they say if you don't want nobody in your house, you lock your door.
Right.
So when it comes to the border, you know what I'm saying? I'm just being honest, you know. If you don't want anybody coming in your house, you lock your door. Then I look at it on the flip side. America is the free world, you know. The world is the world, regardless, you know. So, I mean, if they come over, they do come over, allegedly. They do come over and take the jobs that we want to get lesser paid, but just to have the job and just to be a part of the American society. But
it's a double-edged sword. It's a double-edged sword. I'm for securing the border, but I'm also for allowing those people who have gone through the proper channels to have a pathway to citizenship.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Rodney Pierce, how can people contact you?
You can go to my website. That's PIERCEFORNC.com, piercefornc.com. Or you can email me at rodney@piercefornc.com or piercefornchouse@gmail.com.
All right.
I ain't giving out my phone number.
So let's talk about some of your awards and accomplishment before we end the video, right? It says you're the African American Male Teacher of the Year.
That's the one I probably cherish most than anyone.
Institute of North Carolina Central State University. ANC Council for the Social Studies Teacher of the Year.
Yes, sir.
A local African American hero.
By my alma mater of Halifax Community College. That was in 2013.
And a Martin Luther King Jr. Dream Keeper Award.
From the Roanoke Valley SCLC. Yes,
I had a dream.
I actually did a short portion of his speech at the MLK Junior ceremony in Northampton County a couple of weeks ago at the Cultural and Wellness Center.
So what do you think?
That's my frat brother, you know.
Okay.
Alpha Phi Alpha. That's right. 06.
Okay.
All day. All day.
And he did say he's a historian, y'all. So that means he's writing history.
That's correct. That's
creating history.
And what was your question? I'm sorry.
About the park. What do you think about the park that they have over there by Challenger, Luther King Jr. Park?
It's your girl KT with a message for y'all. This year's election cycle is critical, so pay attention, specifically for where you live at the state and local level. For us here in NC, there's some key issues that we need to focus on to help protect public education, healthcare, and economic development. The governor, lieutenant governor, Congress, Senate, county commissioners, and school boards are all seats you should be familiar with. Get to know the candidates and let your voice be heard, because your vote counts.
Well, the Martin Luther King Park, I think that's a great thing to have a park named after one of the foremost civil rights leaders or human rights leaders of the 21st century, or probably in the history of the world. And I'm very appreciative to the brothers of Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity. I know I don't come like that. In their efforts to keep the park maintained. I'm also appreciative to the efforts of the committee to honor Sarah Keys and getting that memorial put up for her there in her honor and in her memory. Rest in peace, Mrs. Keys Evans. And also for their support of me when I had the historical marker placed further up Runnick Avenue in her memory, or in memory of her case, Keys versus Carolina Coach Company.
Yeah.
So that's all that interconnected Black history
That's
that
what
we were
people
talking
need to
about
understand.
earlier.
Rosa Parks was not the first.
No, sir. No, sir. No, she was not.
So
Yep.
that's a good lesson learned, y'all, because everybody think it was Rosa Parks. It was Sarah Keys. It was not Rosa Parks.
Yep. And it was
who
actually
refused to
somebody
give up her
before her.
seat. You
Right.
know, and right here in North Carolina.
In Roanoke Rapids.
Roanoke Rapids.
Right up the road. Yep. Was arrested by T.J. Davis, and then the city named the recreation center after him. Yeah, he was the police chief.
Yep.
Yep. Yep. He died of a heart attack at the age of. See, I do all that reading and research. He died of a heart attack at the age of 55.
That's dropping jewels.
And I remember talking to Mrs. Keys Evans about him. I said, "You know he's dead?" She said, "Is he?" I said, "Yeah, you outlived him." She said, "Oh, ain't that something?" I was like, "Yeah, isn't it?" I think she lived to be 95.
Wow.
Or maybe a little younger, maybe in her 90s, definitely.
God is good.
Amen. All the time.
Yep.
All the time.
Rodney, we always give our guests a chance to ask us questions. Is there anything
Yes.
you would like to ask each one of us?
Okay, I'll start with Sean.
Okay, always.
When are you going back to school?
Everybody want to start with me
When are you going back to school, bro?
when I get
Now,
time.
you don't have any children, right?
I don't.
Okay. So you don't have nothing basically
Kind of not
occupying your time.
Yeah.
I do.
When I went back to school at first, I wasn't working at the time. Then I got a job. So I was working, going to school. I was a husband at the time as well as a father. So it can be done.
It can be done.
I'm encouraging you like people
Okay.
encourage me, because I was like you. I was like, no.
I understand.
But, yeah.
So
yeah.
that's why we need you to fight
Yes,
for the
sir.
working class, because I was part
Exactly.
of the working class.
The living wage. You need to be making a living wage, not
Yeah.
$7.25 an hour. I'm not
I
saying that's
don't
what you
make
make
that,
that, but that is the
Yeah,
the
the
minimum
minimum
wage,
wage, yeah.
in North Carolina. That needs to change.
Amen.
You need to have your workers' rights,
Amen.
and you need to have good benefits.
Amen.
Exactly.
I'm so progressive of a candidate that I believe that everyone deserves an education, affordable health care, and affordable housing.
Right.
And if you get that education, that quality education, you should get a job also that pays you a living wage.
Would you raise minimum wage?
I would vote for it, definitely. I'd advocate for it. Yes, sir.
Right.
I mean, I live in a tier 1, among the most economically distressed counties in North Carolina. I have seen firsthand what poverty does to kids more so than anything. We have homeless
Yes.
students that I've taught, and they'll miss a month of school,
Wow.
and then they come to school, and how do you get them caught up? You can get them caught up in social studies. You can get them caught up in reading, but math,
Yeah.
that's a whole different
That-
animal.
Yeah.
You miss
know.
one day in math class, you already
Yeah,
behind.
that's it. And so
Social studies too, though, kind of.
But I think what's lost sometimes is that people say, especially when it comes to young folk, they say, well, these young folk don't want to work. And it's like, no, it's not that they don't want to work. I think they just want to be paid a living wage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where their work is going to be
Amen.
meaningful, and they're going to earn money where they can take care of themselves and their families and pay their bills. and be
Yeah.
able to afford good benefits.
Like, I tell my job all the time, it's so easy, but I don't get paid enough for this.
Yes. Because look, me and Courtney, we trying to
Right.
stop working.
Yes.
We trying to do this for a living.
Right,
Something that
right.
we love to do.
Right.
Let this pay us.
And that's the key. You know, I try to tell my students, you know, find your passion.
Yep.
Find what you love to do legally.
Legally.
Hi, my name is Michelle Richardson, and I'm urging everyone who can and will to please come in and vote. Your vote does matter, and it definitely does count. Thank you.
No, for
No
real.
street
You can get paid.
pharmacist.
Right. Not a street pharmacist. Right. Be a real pharmacist, you know. But find what you love to do legally that you could get paid from, to where you would be able to take care of yourself, a family if you decide to have one, and also to pay your bills. You know, and the way that the world is going nowadays, we already know not everyone is built for college or going to college.
Yeah.
But, you know, the thing now is to make sure, I think, that when kids come out of high school, not only do they have their diploma or GED, but that they also have a trade certificate. You know, I was talking to a gentleman today. His wife is an administrator in a local school system. He's a barber. He said, man, I make 3 times what my wife made.
Yeah.
I said, dang, I'm in the wrong profession.
That's the way
Yeah.
I went. So I
You know?
got a certificate because I wasn't a school person. I tried it out. I
Right.
was like, dang, I can get my certificate and make good money on this.
Right. So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
You've been doing this podcast for how long?
Well, YouTube and podcast for like 3 years now.
3 years.
But I'm a personal trainer. That's what I went to school for.
Okay, now which one is your passion? Which one is your passion? Or are they kind
I
of
think they kind of tit for tat, but
Okay.
I love my YouTube channel. Like when I'm doing this, I'm not worried about
You're in your
nothing.
element.
That's how I know.
I got you. I got you. So when are you going to start, if you haven't already started, your fitness YouTube channel?
I know. I got to.
So you already have?
I have.
Okay. Well, that's my question for you then.
I've been thinking about
Okay.
it. Got to put in time. Like I was watching this video today. It's like if you want to be a content creator, you got to actually wake up and clock in like you're doing a real
That's
job.
right.
So I got to take time to actually schedule myself, go work out, do content. So I just got to put my mind to it.
Okay.
Because content creation is something I really love doing. So.
Cool. That's great. I just want to be an encourager, like people were to me.
Thank you.
To you all, because you know when you're not sometimes, and I'm not saying this about you all personally, when you're not sometimes where you feel you ought to be in life or where you want to be, it can be discouraging, particularly when you come from the environment and the area that we come from, because you're like, man, what am I gonna do?
Especially in a small town.
Yes,
Yes.
but don't be discouraged. You know,
A small town like this where there's basically no resources, basically for one, you know, no type of
And the thing that bothers me about that is that, you know, again, you know, that's why you got to have that authentic, real representation. You know, I was at a church speaking on Sunday, and the pastor said, you know, I'm okay with them getting money for this new jail that they're gonna build in Northampton County. And yeah, there do need to be upgrades. There does need to be upgrades for the jail in Halifax County. I mean, that's real.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, we put millions of dollars into those jails, and he's like, who you think gonna be filling them up?
Yeah. Right.
You know,
Yes.
perhaps if we invested perhaps if we invested, you know, those millions of dollars into some recreational opportunities for our young folk, they won't be on the streets
they won't be going to jail.
and they won't be going to jail. Invest that into some jobs and try to, you know, create some equitable jobs.
Right.
You know,
Part of your platform.
exactly. You know, some equitable economic development where, you know, if a company comes to this area, you know, they're not already coming with certain positions filled. They're going to make it fair and equitable and give everyone an opportunity locally to get those jobs. But at the end of the day, when it comes to equitable economic development and jobs coming to this area, it goes back to your education system.
Then maybe I
that's
want to
what-
work.
Yeah.
And then but it has to be, that education system has to be fully funded, because that's what's going to drive the companies to your community. That's what's going to drive those people who can really transform the community to it. Because if I'm a executive and this company wants to pay me $95,000 to $100,000 a year to relocate here and run their facility or plant, okay, what kind of school system are my children going to be attending?
Right.
You know, and sometimes that drives people away. So your education system is really an indicator of the lifeblood of your community.
Yeah.
Every profession starts in the classroom.
Right. 'Cause knowledge is power.
Yep. Amen. Yes, sir.
Yeah, knowledge is power. That's the title of this video.
Yeah.
Knowledge
is power. Because
Yes.
I want my nephews and my little cousins and godkids to be knowledgeable of different things growing up.
That's right.
Please do not walk around not able to count, think, read,
Read.
and all of that stuff like
Read
that.
and
So,
interpret what you've read.
yes, comprehension.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, sir. We have some who struggle with that. And,
Yeah.
yep.
Well, Rodney, I really enjoy having you.
Thank you for having
Yes,
me.
this was
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Shout out to Kayla for setting this
for
up.
sending us.
Thank you, girl.
Y'all see Face to Fat, we can keep it P. We not always,
Yeah, we ain't always spicy and all that.
See, we didn't give you the spice.
We
We
didn't-
just
yeah.
gave it P.
Okay,
We'll keep it
okay.
P,
We
alright?
kept a political professional.
This is what's needed, though. We need to, because I think, I'm
Thank
assuming
you.
here, I know both of y'all are under 40. I know that. Like,
I'm not on the 40.
you're not under 40, sure. So I was trying to give you some credit. See this guy? See this guy?
Everybody
but,
take that.
but the 18 to 40 or the 18 to 35 demographic, I think
41 and
sometimes.
You got a
proud.
good
Okay.
audience. Oh,
Okay.
want to see this? A good
But the
audience.
18 to 35 or 18 to 40 crowd, I think sometimes feels left out
Yeah.
in terms of politics, because it's like politicians don't talk to them, but talk at them. This is what we need. This is what we need. This is what we need.
And most don't understand.
Yeah, and but at the same time, we need to find out, okay, what is on the minds of these young people, because a lot of our young people here, y'all know it, once they graduate, they gone.
They gone.
They gone. They're not coming back unless.
And they ain't thinking about voting either.
Exactly. I have a colleague who's running for county commissioner. Shout out to Gary Reddy, a friend of mine, and Gary teaches at the community college. He teaches a lot of the kids that I taught at Davie that, going through there. And that's one of the things he says. He says, they can't wait to leave.
Nope.
And, they're
Actually,
not
I
that.
know I couldn't wait.
Right. They're not as concerned about voting because they don't feel like anyone's speaking to them and what they want. And I think sometimes we of the older generation miss that. We miss that with the younger people because we're so concerned about what's going on right now that we're not
future.
thinking about the future. You know what I mean? And if we keep doing that, we're going to keep losing our population. Halifax and Northampton County are among the highest in the state of North Carolina, top 5, if I remember correctly, when it comes to decline in population. And a lot of it comes from the young people who, once they graduate, they leave. They love coming back to share what they have.
Yeah.
What knowledge they've gained, what resources they might be able to bring,
And then they out
but they
there.
ain't staying.
Nope.
They ain't staying like me. I left, but I came back.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
I came back twice.
Yeah, they ain't staying. And I just want to make sure that those people have a voice too. So if you're out there and you fit that demographic, please contact me.
Yeah.
Go
And
to my
I'm gonna
go
put
to my
everything in the
website.
description below.
Please.
And make sure y'all vote
And we-
Rodney Pierce 2024
North
for
Carolina House of Representatives.
Representative District 27.
Yes. A choice for change.
A choice
That's my
for
campaign
change.
slogan.
A choice
A
for
choice for change.
Oh,
Yes.
that's a good title too.
Yes.
A choice for change.
Yes, sir.
Well, y'all contact him. I will put everything in the link down in the description below. And to like, comment, subscribe, and please share this video because we got to get them votes up and we got to get our younger and everybody, not just the young people, to start voting. Okay, y'all? We got
Please go
a
out
choice for
and
change.
rock the vote.
Yes. Volunteers are needed. Poll workers, political canvassers, that means your door knocking, phone bankers, all of that. If you'd like to be involved with Team Pierce or join, use the website that Ms. Courtney will be posting and contact us.
Yep.
And I'll be glad to work with you. Yeah.
All right, y'all. I hope y'all enjoy it, and we'll be back.
Peace.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Rodney D. Pierce, Democratic candidate from North Carolina House District 27. That's Halifax, Northampton, and Warren County. Up here today to tell you why your vote is important. Your vote is important because it counts. Don't ever think it doesn't. I ran for school board in 2022. I lost by 35 votes. Your vote counts. A young lady in Northampton County was trying to get elected as county commissioner, re-elected as county commissioner. She lost by 6 votes. Your vote counts. Don't ever think that it doesn't. And as a colleague of mine said, it's important to vote for president, but it's also equally, or if not more so, important to vote for your state and local offices, your school boards, your city councils, your county commissions, your state representatives, your state senators, You're a U.S. senators and you're a member of the House of Representatives, your congressman or congresswoman. So please don't ever think that your vote doesn't count. Know that it's very important. Get registered and cast it. The voter registration deadline is February 9th. Early voting will start on February 15th. It ends on March 2nd. And the primary is on March the 5th. So get out there and cast your vote. Make sure your voice is heard.